Right now at 5, rising costs at the farm lead to a rise in prices at the grocery store.
We got a nice look at some twilight showing up at 7th and Rangeline, but once the sun rises, we'll heat up fast during the day. Forecast coming up.
Also, KOAM holds a ribbon cutting ceremony to celebrate progress on its new antenna. This is the KOAM Morning News, and it starts right now. Welcome. It is officially 5 a.m. I'm Chris Warner. We're going to go over to Nick Kelly, who's got a look at twilight, and we're not talking about the vampires. We're talking about the sun coming up.
Now, this is the twilight that I'm more familiar with, Chris. We are looking toward the eastern horizon. Not even at sunrise yet. That's coming up at about 6:02, 6:01, sometime around there. But we can already start to see some of the sunlight beginning to peak in the eastern horizon, that is. But breaking down our weather setup, we've got the next cold front that's going to try to shake things up a little bit as we get toward the holiday weekend. As long as we're still well ahead of that front, just take yesterday's weather, repeat it all over again for today. We've got clear skies out there right now just to make doubly sure. Nothing on the radar network, so it's not going to get a workout throughout the course of the day. Temperatures mainly in the lower to middle 60s at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. And as far as where we go from here, another quick warm up as we go throughout the day. 76 by 9 a.m. We'll go 88 by the noon hour and topping out around 94. Now it's going to be a fast warm up, but the humidity stays rather low, so we're not going to make it feel hot and muggy, but just hot today, Chris, with a light south breeze of 5 to 10. We'll break down the rest of the extended forecast and see how the rest of the week is shaping up, even the holiday weekend too, coming up in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. Joplin Fire officials say a man has died from injuries he received in a house fire. The fire happened early Monday morning at 819 West A Street. When fire crews arrived, they found 71-year-old Michael Hayes trapped inside. They got him out and took him to the hospital, where he has since died. Fire officials determined the cause of the fire to be a malfunctioning electric fan. Big news for travelers who use Joplin Airport. Skywatch will continue to provide its Joplin service at least through the end of the year. Earlier this year, Skywatch, which runs United Express flights to Denver and Chicago, announced it would end service to the Joplin Regional Airport and 28 other communities due largely to a pilot shortage. The city announced Wednesday Skywest Airlines will keep its current Joplin service throughout 2022. Flights include a daily nonstop morning flight to Chicago and an evening return flight, as well as an afternoon flight to and from Denver Thursday through Monday. Peerless Products is expanding its Nevada, Missouri facility. The windows and door manufacturer announced it's investing $3.5 million to increase their production capacity. The investment will also add 111 new jobs to the facility. Peerless has operated in Nevada since 2019 and currently employs about 40 people. Rising costs on the farm are leading to rising prices at the grocery store. The rise in fertilizer and fuel costs is adding to the overall price of meat and livestock. Farmers and meat shops are trying to adapt their budgets to compensate for new maintenance expenses.
Well, I mean, back when everybody fertilizes their pasture, they have to buy fuel, they have to buy seed. Fertilizer got to $1,000 a ton, and that's very expensive. That's probably twice as high as it's been in the last years.
Despite the steady increase of inflation, farmers are hoping by the fall the cost of fertilizer will decrease. There's a big big celebration here at the TV station Wednesday afternoon. Representatives from 6 area chambers of commerce join us for a ribbon cutting as KOAM TV and Fox 14 make progress on a project to improve the power and reach of our broadcasting signal. Chambers of Commerce from Joplin, Pittsburgh, Carthage, Carl Junction, Neosho, and Grove joined us to celebrate and get an update on the project and also tour our facilities.
This is a fun business to be in, and so it's exciting to be able to do that. Although I should say, I can't take any of the credit. Our chief engineer, Bill Vickery, is the one who really has led the charge on the project and has helped us understand the why, the how, and how it's going to impact not only us, but the community.
Now, when the antenna and transmitter project is complete, our signal will be stronger than ever. In the meantime, signal might be a bit glitchy for some of you, but a big improvement is coming soon. 100 years on the green. Joplin Schifferdecker Golf Course celebrates 1 century since its opening in 1922. City officials held a ribbon-cutting ceremony with celebratory tee shots from Mayor Pro Tem Keenan Cortez, Parks and Recreation Director Paul Bloomberg, and current Ozark amateur Jordan Burks. The course is open to the public and consists of 18 holes.
Seeing things grow and continue to grow. from the entire crew that we have here, the grounds crew, the pro shop staff. Everybody here is really dedicated and wants the best for this course to continue for the next 100 years.
Schifferdecker Park was named in 1923 to honor Charles Schifferdecker, who donated 120 acres of land in 1915. Folks in Fort Scott, Kansas had the chance to watch a special performance of the 35th Infantry Division Band of the Kansas National Guard. They performed at the Fort Scott National Historic Site. The band performed a mix of pop, classical, and patriotic music.
It's, first of all, hearing a live band is a wonderful experience, and a military band even more so. This is a very patriotic community, a military band and a patriotic community. It doesn't get any better than that.
The historic site plans to have artillery demonstrations and programs throughout this coming holiday weekend. Nick Kelly, take a look at that 7-day forecast you've plotted. I don't like those temperatures in the slightest.
Well, I mean, at least for the next few days, the humidity won't be so bad, Chris, but it's going to be a very fast warm-up once the sun rises today. Highs near 94. We'll continue with mainly mid-90s Friday, Saturday, and the Sunday, but we're going to have to push into the upper 90s, even with some isolated thunderstorm chances during the afternoon and potentially early evening on your 4th. And then, unfortunately, we got to push near the century mark Tuesday and Wednesday, so we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on that in the days to come.
Thank you. And that is a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Royals take on the Rangers. Will they manage to catch the win? Plus, we'll meet a soldier who served in World War II and had to campaign for 7 decades to get medals he deserved. And scientists say there's new research that could help in binge eating. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. It is more real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Grabbing it. Former Pittsburgh State All-American Kendall Gammon to kick off sports this morning. He's going to the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. He's part of the class of 2022, and he will enter the Hall in October. Now, Gammon played 4 years at Pittsburgh State. He was a 3-time All-MIAA offensive lineman and was an All-American in 2019 when he helped the Gorillas win the Division II National Championship. After that, he went on to play 15 years in the NFL between the Steelers, Saints, and the Chiefs. He's one of 10 individuals in the year's Hall of Fame class, which also includes NASCAR champion Clint Boyer, former KU basketball coach Roy Williams.
There's unbelievably great talent that's coming from Kansas and will continue to come from Kansas. And I mean, just a few, but I mean, you think about Barry Sanders and folks like that. I mean, there's some pretty special people that have come from Kansas or have had their careers in Kansas and therefore are in the Hall of Fame as well. So just to be mentioned alongside them in any sense is a wonderful thing, and I'm certainly very, very grateful.
Now, Gammon is already in the Pitt State Hall of Fame and the MIAA Hall of Fame. We got more of this in our full story. Head over to the sports page anytime at KOANewsNow.com. Now, the Joplin Outlaws were in action last night on the road against the Nevada Griffins. Last night's game was the 5th meeting of the season between the two teams, with Nevada winning 3 of the first 4. That one was a good one. Now, at last check, Nevada led 8-7 in the top of the 8th. We had Liam Bailey 3-4 with a double and 3 RBIs. The Kansas City Royals finished up a 3-game series with the Texas Rangers yesterday afternoon. The Royals were trying to avoid the sweep after dropping the first 2 games of the series. KC gets the first run of the day with MJ Melendez lining this one buck to center. Bobby Witt Jr. scores. Hunter Dozier thrown out at the plate. The Royals take a 1-0 lead. Zach Greinke making his 500th career start yesterday for KC, giving up a solo homer here, but goes 6 innings. That was the only round he gave up yesterday. It's a 1-1 game in the bottom of the 5th, and then Kyle Isbell hammering up to right, put the Royals back on top. And defense, we've got Bobby Witt Jr. I believe that's the play. Nice dive there, making a nice throw at the first for the out, showing off some amazing range. The Royals held on and avoided the sweep 2-1 over the Rangers. Over in the National League, the St. Louis Cardinals were trying for the first 3-game sweep over the Marlins last night. The Cards led going to the 9th, but the Marlins got to in the top half to win it 4-3. Dylan Carson goes 1 for 3 on the day with a pair of RBIs. St. Louis will be on the road for 7 straight beginning on Friday against the Phillies. And finally, the MIAA has accepted Newman and Rogers State as full members of the association. The two schools have been associate members of the league since 2019. Newman and Rogers State will officially become the MIAA's 13th and 14th full-time members on July 1st. Now, each school offers 14 NCAA championship sports, but neither school is a football program. All right, that's it for sports this morning. Still to come, CNN gets barred from Xi Jinping's visit to Hong Kong. Plus, we'll get a fresh look at our 7-day forecast when we come back. We're back. We are starting with the big picture upstairs with your Jetstream setup. We're clearly back on the hotter side of the jet, but no centralized center for this upper level ridge. So we're not going to bring in the excessive heat just yet, thankfully. Plus, it also helps that going into the weekend, we've got a cold front that'll try to bring some slight rain chances our way, but not for today, as long as that stays well to the north and west of us. We just have pretty much mostly clear skies to start the morning out. You can see plenty of that as the sun continues to start rising from 7th and Range Line. Currently, we're at 66 degrees with clear skies on top of the south-southeasterly breeze today, but you see those dew points still in the mid-50s. Still a comfy air mass, and that's what's going to allow temperatures to really warm up so fast once we finish getting that sun to rise. We're all in the lower to middle 60s now, but on a day where we should be starting at 69 and topping out at 89, we're already starting cooler than normal, which we're grateful for, but we'll quickly go to 71 at 8 a.m., 88 by noon, and pushing highs near 94 degrees. At the very least, the humidity stays rather low, so even though temperatures will quickly warm throughout the day, upper 80s by noon, and most spots around 92, 93, and 94 degrees, we aren't going to add any mugginess. So when the thermometer says lower to middle 90s, that's what it'll feel like if you're going to have any outdoor plans today. We'll say generally mostly clear as we go through the overnight, but as that front sneaks in from the north, it is going to pull in some more humidity. That could result in a stray storm during the afternoon, but it's going to take those temperatures topping back out in the mid-90s. It'll make it feel like we're back over 100 again. Staying in the mid-90s overall Saturday and Sunday with isolated thunderstorm chances during the afternoon and early evening. 97, slight rain chances for the 4th, and unfortunately we got to head back near triple-digit numbers as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Switching gears, one 97-year-old veteran has been trying to receive medals he earned in World War II for 7 decades, and his day finally came. Brittany Cadet has a story.
I can't thank you all enough for the attention I've been getting. It makes up for all the years I didn't get it.
William Kellerman, a Bronx native, expressing how great it feels to finally be recognized for fighting in World War II.
When I was in Normandy, we went to visit the cemetery. There's 8,000 guys. I knew a few of them, but they're the ones who really should be honored. I'll just be a spokesman for them.
Less than 1 month into Kellerman's tour of duty, on July 4th, 1944, he was sent to notify his battalion headquarters. En route, he was taken by German soldiers as a prisoner until one night he escaped on foot.
He just assumed everybody had a story from World War II like that, and the doctor told him, no, your story is quite incredible.
Kellerman traveled 600 miles on a bike and made it to the headquarters of the French resistance. He was interrogated for hours, trying to prove he was an American soldier. He redeemed himself by answering who won the 1943 World Series. And of course, a no-brainer for a Bronx native, it was the New York Yankees.
We want to thank you for your outstanding service, your sacrifice, and those who are still serving. We stand on your shoulders, and we strive every day to live up to the legacy that you have left us.
Officials from the U.S. Army say that after his active service ended, the awards he was set to receive were never processed. Almost 70 years later, William Kellerman finally recognized as a recipient of the Purple Heart, Prisoner of War, and a Bronze Star Medal.
That's an amazing story. It's about time he got the recognition he deserved. And that brings us to something to talk about this morning. Do you have any family members who served in the military, be it your parents, grandparents, nieces, nephews, cousins, sisters, brothers, sons, daughters, anything and everything in between? We want to hear from you by voting at KOAMNewsNow.com/vote with our Insta poll. You can vote through the KOAM News app for iOS and Android. And of course, you can chime in with your thoughts on Facebook as well. In the meantime, Chris will be back with Health Watch when we come back from the break.
Scientists say new research on the human brain could signal to end binge eating. German researchers report they discovered a signal pathway in the brain that controls food intake. According to the scientists, a group of nerve cells near the base of the brain helps control the excitability of nerve cells in the part of the brain that stimulates the need to eat. They found that a particular enzyme plays a critical part in signaling that pathway. The research team believes an inhibitor for that enzyme could significantly reduce excessive eating after fasting and in those who are obese. They suggest this information could lead to a new approach to target eating disorders. Well, the Biden administration reached an agreement Wednesday to buy 105 million doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. The deal includes options for up to 300 million doses and is worth up to $3.2 billion. The vaccines are set for delivery by early fall when health experts worry COVID-19 cases may begin spiking again. It comes after weeks of fighting between the administration and Congress on COVID response efforts. The vaccine purchase is being funded by part of the $10 billion that was reallocated from current response efforts. Both adult and child vaccines are included. Demand for abortion pills is growing following the U.S. Supreme Court's decision on abortion rights. One telehealth company says the demand has more than doubled since the ruling. But what are experts saying about the risks? Jen Sullivan has that story.
The Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, putting the spotlight on abortion pills.
Medication abortion has opened up the options for individuals who are in need of abortion care.
Instead of having a surgical procedure, medication abortion is a method to end pregnancy by taking a combination of pills approved by the Food and Drug Administration. The first pill is called mifepristone, and the second pill is called misoprostol. The FDA says both are safe and effective up to 11 weeks after the first day of the last menstrual period.
It's extremely safe. It's safer than Viagra. It's safer than most of the over-the-counter painkillers, for example.
Sourcing medication abortion pills online is safe if the pills are sourced from reputable outlets.
Hey Jane, a telehealth organization that delivers medication abortion pills in some states, says the average patient demand has more than doubled compared to last month following the High Court's ruling. A similar organization, Aid Access, says demand began growing even earlier, in May, when a Supreme Court draft opinion was leaked.
We have seen an incredible increase of requests of help. People are really, really scared.
Some anti-abortion advocates say the next battle over abortion rights may be over access to these abortion pills, with some Republican governors already signaling they'll take action to block access to abortion pills.
We don't believe it should be available because it is a dangerous situation for those individuals.
That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Let's get another look at our forecast here. And we've got a little bit of extra time to keep an eye on things. So we've got another nice look from 7th and Range Line. Still the sun continuing to rise as we speak, but we're still looking okay temperature-wise. We're around 66 in Joplin. Most areas are in the lower to middle 60s, so not a bad start to the day considering we normally should be starting out around 69. However, that's because we had a dry air mass in place and allowed temperatures to really drop off fast. But that same setup is going to allow for a quick warm-up once the sun completely rises after the 6 o'clock hour. So we'll go quickly to 71 by 8 a.m., 88 by noon. Highs near 94 in downtown Joplin, but that's pretty much the same story for the entire area, as we'll all see mostly sunny skies throughout the day, and then that light southerly breeze of 5 to 10 pushing us into the lower to middle 90s. Most spots between 92 and 94 degrees. I want to say mostly clear as we go throughout the course of tonight and in the Friday morning, but cloud cover will pick up ahead of our next frontal system drifting by to the north of us, but close enough, pulling in some extra humidity where not only could it result in a random thunderstorm or two Friday afternoon, but with highs near 95, that extra humidity is going to bring up feels like temperatures back near, if not just over 100 degrees. That front hangs around throughout much of the holiday weekend, so just slight thunderstorm chances during the afternoon and early evening for Saturday, Sunday, and the 4th. I still think there will be dry times, something we'll still watch throughout the holiday weekend, but once we go into early next week, we'll go from 97 on Monday to highs near 100 for Tuesday and Wednesday. We got another half hour of news in the morning. Stick with us.
Right now at 5:30, rising costs at the farm lead to a rise in prices at the grocery store.
Plus, as the sun continues to rise, the skies continue to brighten up, but it's going to lead to another quick warm-up today. Forecast coming up.
Also, KOAM holding a ribbon-cutting ceremony to celebrate progress on its new antenna.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning. Welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is now officially 5:30 a.m. I'm Chris Warner and going to Nick Kelly for a look at that forecast. Sun's starting to come up a little bit.
Yeah, we're just about starting sunset, Chris, but not officially there yet. Doesn't change the fact that Mother Nature is already allowing things to brighten up, and it's only just 5:30 on this Thursday morning. The big picture, at least at the surface, shows I am watching our next cold front, but it's not going to do anything for us today. By the weekend, though, it's going to be close by to give us, unfortunately, a bump in the humidity, and at least try to give a few lucky spots some rain chances off and on throughout parts of the weekend. But we're dealing with just clear skies here. Absolutely nothing on the radar, so thankfully this is not going to get a workout as we go throughout the course of our Thursday. Temperatures right now, we're still in the lower to middle 60s all across the region. As far as where we go from here, though, we're going to see temperatures quickly warm once the sun fully rises. 76 at 9 a.m., 88 by noon. Now, highs are 94 today, Chris, but the humidity stays rather low, so it's going to be a dry heat. I guess we got to figure out which is better, a dry heat or hot and muggy. I'll take the dry heat any day, though. But we'll see if these numbers can climb any higher when we break down the extended forecast here in a bit.
Yeah, I agree with you on the dry heat, Nick. I've heard people that, come in from the desert Southwest and, it's 105, 110 degrees out there, and they come up here, and then we have heat indices of that value, and they're like, no, can't do it. They'd rather have that dry heat versus that humidity, so.
Yeah, the humidity makes it just nasty during the summer.
That it does. Nick, thank you so much. Joplin Fire officials say a man has died from injuries he received in a house fire. Fire happened early Monday morning at 819 West A Street. When fire crews arrived, they found 71-year-old Michael Hayes trapped inside. They got him out and took him to the hospital where he has since died. Fire officials determined the cause of the fire to be a malfunctioning electric fan. We had a big celebration here at the TV station. On Wednesday, representatives from 6 area chambers of commerce joined us for a ribbon cutting as KOAM TV and Fox 14 make progress on a project to improve the power and reach of our broadcasting signal. Chambers of commerce from Joplin, Pittsburgh, Carthage, Carl Junction, Neosho, and Grove joined us to celebrate, get an update on the project, and tour the facilities.
Because it's setting us up for future technology. Technology is constantly evolving. The way we deliver our news and content to the public's always changing, and the future of our industry is evolving to a new technology, and this new tower is set up for that.
When the antenna and transmitter project is complete, our signal will be stronger than ever. In the meantime, our signal may be a bit glitchy. We know some of you have just about lost us outright, but don't worry, big improvement is coming soon. On Wednesday, Lazy Boy celebrated the expansion of their new distribution center. The furniture manufacturer held a ribbon-cutting ceremony in Neosho, Missouri to commemorate the expansion project. The president and CEO appreciates Neosho's involvement in the process.
All of our different components that we use and produce in the manufacturing, several of those will go through this facility and be distributed out to different manufacturing facilities throughout the North America that we have.
The company intends to have 5 phases in their expansion project. 100 years on the green. Joplin Schifferdecker Golf Course celebrating 1 century since its opening in 1922. City officials held a ribbon-cutting ceremony with celebratory tee shots from Mayor Pro Tem Keenan Cortez, Parks and Rec Director Paul Bloomberg, and current Ozark amateur Jordan Burks. The course is open to the public and consists of 18 holes.
The goal for this golf course is to make sure that it is one of those amenities that's available to the community as a whole. As a quality of life thing, having a municipal golf course within our city limits just adds to the quality of life that our citizens can have.
Schifferdecker Park was named in 1923 to honor Charles Schifferdecker, who donated 120 acres of land in 1915. The price of pretty much everything is climbing. The rise in fertilizer and fuel costs is adding to the overall price of meats and livestock. KOAM's Amber Jenkins talks to some 4-staters in the industry.
America's inflation is at a 40-year record high. The rising prices of fuel, fertilizer, and other materials to raise and sell livestock have affected local farmers' pockets dearly. Due to the inflation, your next steak dinner might cost a little bit more.
And kind of with that said, you know, the cattle inventory in the United States is probably down 3% from the last year and a half, and that's just hundreds of thousands of cows. So, and there's been a lot of droughts in places, and a lot of those big cow herds have been dispersed and sold. And so that means there won't be a lot of calves born from them cows that they have gotten rid of. So it's going to make the inventory we have now worth a little bit more money.
Cattle farmers have to keep a close eye on their budget. Although the cost of cattle increase, cattle maintenance increase even more.
Most of these people are very conservative. You know, they watch their budgets close. You know, the cattle they're selling right now, they're just trying to keep all their input costs paid, keep everything going, just getting closer to the fall.
Inflation does not only affect the prices of cattle, butcher and meat processing shops are also adapting to keep their prices affordable for the community.
My dad and I make a good effort to do smart buying, smart packaging techniques, and to try to keep the costs down on the things that we can control to be able to sell it for the consistent prices that we have been.
The extra effort to cut costs is justified to Andrew because he values consistency.
We have people coming in, and a lot of them can't even believe that it was the same prices from month to month, let alone, you know, from almost year to year now that we've had these bundle prices for it.
In Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
An industry analyst says the recent deaths of cattle in western Kansas due to the heat does not have a substantial impact on meat prices. Nick Kelly in the Storm Center with a look at that forecast for us.
Well, no rain to track today, Chris. We'll just track temperatures that will quickly climb once we get past sunrise. We'll have highs around 94 today, thankfully low humidity, so thermometer will say 94. It'll feel like 94 once we get the peak heating of the afternoon. But humidity starts climbing back throughout the rest of the holiday weekend, so we'll have to bring back just slight afternoon and early evening thunderstorm chances, but staying in the 90s through the holiday weekend, and unfortunately back near 100 by Tuesday.
Thank you. This morning, we're discussing serving in the military. William Kellerman, a Bronx native, expressed how great it feels to finally be recognized for fighting in World War II. Less than 1 month into Kellerman's tour of duty, on July 4th, 1944, he was sent to notify his battalion headquarters. En route, he was taken by German soldiers as a prisoner until one night he escaped on foot. Kellerman traveled 600 miles on a bike and made it to the headquarters of the French resistance. He was interrogated for hours trying to prove he was an American soldier. He redeemed himself by answering who won the 1943 World Series, and of course a no-brainer for a Bronx native, it was the New York Yankees. Officials from the U.S. Army say that after his active service ended, the awards he was set to receive were never processed. And this brings us to our something to talk about. Do you have family members who served in the military, or maybe they're currently serving? You can vote online at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or through the KOAM News Now app. And of course, we invite you to take part in the discussion on our Facebook page at KOAM News, at facebook.com/KOAM Fox 14. That is a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Steinbeck's historical boat gets a second chance at life. Plus, a former dictator's son gets sworn into office in the Philippines. Well, the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. China is putting a media shield around leader Xi Jinping's trip to Hong Kong later this week. Journalists from local and leading international media organizations won't be allowed to cover official ceremonies during the trip. Xi will be in Hong Kong to mark the 25th anniversary of the city's handover from Britain to China. It will be his first trip outside the mainland since the beginning of the pandemic. According to the Hong Kong Journalist Association, at least 10 journalists had their applications to cover the events rejected for, quote, security reasons. The organization said China barred news outlets including CNN, Reuters, and the Hong Kong-based South China Morning Post. Hong Kong government spokesman said authorities were trying as much as possible to balance, quote, the need of media work and security requirements. Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has been officially sworn in as the next president of the Philippines, popularly known as Bongbong. The new leader took his oath of office in a ceremony in the country's capital, Manila, on Thursday. That's after he won the presidential election by a landslide in May, with more than 30 million Filipinos casting their vote for him. He'll be taking over from outgoing leader Rodrigo Duterte and is set to begin a 6-year term in office. President Biden announced the U.S. is beefing up its military presence in Europe to act as a deterrent to Russia. The move comes as Finland and Sweden are about to become full NATO members after a deal was struck with Turkey over its objections to their inclusion. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
Speaking alongside NATO's Secretary General, President Biden announced Wednesday the U.S. will bolster its military presence in Europe in the face of Russia's continued threat.
Today I'm announcing the United States will enhance our force posture in Europe and respond to the changed security environment, as well as strengthening our collective security.
The administration says that will include the first permanent U.S. presence in Poland, adding 2 F-35 squadrons to the UK, deploying additional air defense in Germany and Italy, as well as stationing 2 more destroyers in Spain.
Together, our allies, we're going to make sure that NATO is ready to meet threats in all directions across every domain, land, air, and the sea.
And in a historic move, NATO will expand, extending a formal invitation to Sweden and Finland after Turkey dropped its opposition Tuesday. NATO also says collectively it will significantly increase the number of troops on standby from 40,000 to more than 300,000.
President Putin has not succeeded in closing NATO's door. He's getting the opposite of what he wants. He wants less NATO. President Putin is getting more NATO.
Finland and Sweden had applied for NATO membership in response to Russia's war on Ukraine, now entering the 5th month.
Who of you does not agree that this is terrorism?
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia has now become a terrorist state after it launched a missile strike on a shopping mall, killing at least 18 people. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
President Zelensky joined the NATO meeting via video conference, and NATO countries pledged to continue to support Ukraine in its fight against Russia for survival. Let's look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Joplin Fire officials say a man has died from injuries he received in a house fire. The fire happened early Monday morning at 819 West A Street. Now, when fire crews arrived, they found 71-year-old Michael Hayes trapped inside. They got him out and took him to the hospital, where he has since died. Fire officials determined the cause of the fire to be a malfunctioning electric fan. There was a big celebration here at Television City on Wednesday afternoon. Representatives from 6 area chambers of commerce joined us for a ribbon cutting as KOAM TV and Fox 14 make progress on a project to improve the power and reach of our broadcasting signal. Chambers of Commerce from Joplin, Pittsburgh, Carthage, Carl Junction, Neosho, and Grove joined us to celebrate, get an update on the project, and tour the facilities. 100 years on the green. Joplin Shipperdecker course celebrates 1 century since its opening in 1922. City officials held a ribbon cutting ceremony with celebratory tee shots from Mayor Pro Tem Keenan Cortez, Parks and Rec Director Paul Bloomberg, and current Ozark amateur Jordan Burks. The course is open to the public and consists of 18 holes. Folks at Fort Scott, I'm so sorry, we cut that off, but it's a beautiful piece. They had a chance to actually experience that whole thing and watch a special performance of the 35th Infantry Division Band of the Kansas National Guard. They performed at the Fort Scott National Historic Site. The band performed a mixture of pop, classical, and patriotic music. And that is the check of today's top headlines and the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And this relatively dry air mass allowed us to start mild and nice this morning, but it'll lead to a fast warm-up once the sun completely rises and shines in full force through the rest of the day. 88 degrees by noon, for example, and pushing highs near 94 degrees for the afternoon. Then heading into tonight, a little bit more warm air pulling in, but the same dry air mass will allow lows to drop back near 70. Then the extended forecast has a weak cold front that'll park itself nearby to the north of us throughout the holiday weekend. Just slight thunderstorm chances each day, not a complete washout, but that'll keep highs in the mid-90s. Humidity will push those heat indices back near 100. And then after the 4th, pushing highs near 100 going into the middle of next week.
A piece of literary history is reclaiming its place on the high sea. The Western Flyer is the fishing vessel author John Steinbeck was on while he wrote The Log from the Sea of Cortez. The boat spent the past 9 years being refurbished. Now it's seaworthy and back in the water. Eric Wilkinson reports.
The Western Flyer has been being refurbished here in Port Townsend for the past 9 years, and today the 85-year-old boat is launching into Puget Sound once again. The painstaking voyage back to the sea begins with a bulldozer hauling the 77-foot seiner out of dry dock. It's part of a journey Ron Wellborn has been on since he first learned about the boat when writing a high school paper.
Changed my life, definitely, and still feels like it's changing my life.
The Western Flyer was built in Tacoma in 1937. 3 years later, John Steinbeck chartered it with biologist Ed Ricketts, the grandfather of modern ecology. That trip turned into the book The Log from the Sea of Cortez, instilling a philosophy that inspired Wellborn, then an adrift college student, to change schools, majors, and become a biologist himself.
That all things are one, from tide pool to the stars.
But getting the boat to this point has been an odyssey unto itself. The boat had sunk 3 times prior to its resurrection. This is what it looked like when we first visited in 2016. This is it today.
It was a ghost of a ship. There were barnacles on every surface, mud in the cabinets.
You know, they built the piano night.
John Gregg is at the helm of this project. He plans to bring the boat to California, where it'll be used as an environmental research vessel, in keeping with the theme of Steinbeck's boat and Ricketts' work.
They were forward-thinking guys, so they wouldn't like something just as a museum piece. They'd want something that could earn its keep.
Spare us the scourge of your frigid breath.
As the boat is dedicated with wine and lavender, it touches the water once again, and Ron Wellborn is hopeful the Western Flyer will continue to change lives.
It's a big picture thing that makes you feel more connected to the whole world.
The Western Flyer now makes its way to Ballard for 4 months of mechanical work before carrying on to California, where it begins its second life as a research vessel.
It's just incredible you can resurrect a sunken ship 3 times and get it back onto the water. We're going to be right back with another look at your forecast.
We are back, and we've got a little time before we hit the top of the hour, so let's just get another look at our forecast again. We are starting with the jet stream setup. You can see how the jet's back to the north of us once again. We are looking, goodness, what else can you say? This is the type of setup that's going to lead us to another hot day, but ahead of our next cold front, we're just sitting underneath kind of a dry air mass. So until this front gets here and pulls in some more humidity, it's not looking bad to start the day out. We actually have clear skies as far as the eye can see and as far as the Skywatch storm tracker can see as well. And you can still see that sun continuing to lift on up and really brighten things up for sure. Currently, we're sitting at 66 in Joplin. We'll see if that's a fresh number when we get to the top of the hour. But bottom line, everyone's still in the lower to middle 60s to start this morning out. As far as your day planner goes, though, this dry air mass meant temperatures starting below the average low of 69. But once that sun fully rises, this dry air allows the air to really heat up fast. So we'll quickly go to 71 by 8 a.m. I'm thinking 88 degrees by noon with that light south breeze at 5 to 10. It's not really going to bring in a lot of hot air, but it's not strong enough to mix up the sun's rays. So that's why we're going to see a quick warm up. In fact, a heat up, if that's a word. If not, I'll just make it up. Pushing up to about 94 degrees this afternoon. Now, that's around the Joplin area, but everyone's going to fare the same way. 8 a.m., most of us pretty much around 70, but then quickly going into the mid to upper 80s at the noon hour. At least we're dry for the noon hour. And then you can see the numbers pushing 92, 93, 94 across the area. At the very least, it's a hot day, sure, but sunny skies and low humidity. So at least there are some positives to this setup as we go throughout the course of the day. Then that next cold front up north starts edging closer. That's going to allow temperatures to only drop back near 70 to start your Friday morning out. I'm going to say mostly clear skies to get your Friday morning started. The day starts dry, but as that front edges closer, especially near the I-70 corridor, I think it'll be close enough to really pull in some humidity to allow for partly sunny skies to return for Friday afternoon, and maybe an isolated chance for a random thunderstorm or two, mainly during the afternoon and then dissipating as we head toward early Friday evening. But You take those highs in the mid-90s with that additional humidity, it's going to make it feel like triple digits again as we get the holiday weekend started. That front sticks with us Saturday, Sunday, and on the 4th of July. That means just slight chances for isolated storms. Saturday afternoon, early Saturday evening, same story for Sunday, and same story for the 4th. So if you have plans on the 4th, I wouldn't cancel them, but just have a plan B in case you get underneath one of those random storms. But you are... Oh boy, I wish I could just change those numbers, but it's once we get past a hot 97 for Monday, we're going to have to officially bring the heat back in with triple digits for highs, around 100 for Tuesday and Wednesday. All right, we got another full hour of news and weather coming up, so stick with us.
Starts now.
Good morning. Welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Chris Warner. We're going to get to those stories and a visit from Chef Anthony, but first, we're going to talk to meteorologist Nick Kelly and take a look at that shot behind him. It is looking gorgeous.
Yeah,
almost as gorgeous as Nick Kelly.
I don't want to stand in the middle of that. It's kind of like Bob Ross himself painted that picture this morning to get our Thursday started. Just about a minute or so now from the start of the official sunrise. But ever since we got the show underway, we've seen the skies start to brighten up. And that's going to lead to another quick warm up with the dry air mass still in place. But once we get our cold front to come nearby for a visit during the holiday weekend, it's going to, pull in some more humidity to allow for the typical hot and humid weekend. What else can we expect, especially for the 4th of July weekend, which, if you can believe it, already knocking on the door. Thankfully, nothing showing up on the Skywatch storm tracker. Very false returns on the radar. Everything else, we're just dealing with clear skies to start this Thursday morning out. Temperatures lower to middle 60s all across the board. Maybe a couple quick spots like Neodesha, Parsons, and Iola sneaking back into the upper 50s. I think that's not Parsons. I want to say Neodesha, Fredonia, areas around there. You get the idea. Everybody's looking good to start the morning out, but once the sun really rises with the dry air mass in place, expect a quick warm up. 76 by 9 a.m., 88 by noon, highs are 94 crisp, but the dry heat keeps it just hot, not hot and humid. But that could be a different story for the holiday weekend. We'll take another look at the forecast, the weekend especially, here in a few.
All right, Nick, thank you. Joplin Fire officials say a man has died from injuries he received in a house fire. The fire happened early Monday morning at 819 West A Street. When fire crews arrived, they found 71-year-old Michael Hayes trapped inside. They got him out and took him to the hospital where he has since died. Fire officials determined the cause of the fire to be a malfunctioning electric fan. Big news, travelers who use Joplin Airport. Skywatch will continue to provide its Joplin service at least through the end of this year. Earlier this year, Skywatch, which runs United Express flights to Denver and Chicago, announced it would end service to Joplin Regional Airport and 28 other communities due largely to a pilot shortage. But the city announced Wednesday Skywatch Airlines will keep its current Joplin service throughout 2022. Flights include a daily nonstop morning flight to Chicago and an evening return flight, as well as an afternoon flight to and from Denver Thursday through Monday. Today is the last official day of the Supreme Court's tumultuous and historic current term. Will also be Justice Stephen Breyer's last day and Ketanji Brown Jackson's first, as she will be sworn in as the first black woman to sit on the nation's top court. Naomi Ruckham has more.
After last week's stunning reversal of Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court is making history again today. Ketanji Brown Jackson, a federal judge since 2013, will be sworn in as the first black woman to serve as a justice on the nation's highest court.
It is an honor, the honor of a lifetime, for me to have this chance to join the court, to promote the rule of law at the highest level, and to do my part to carry our shared project of democracy and equal justice under law forward.
Jackson got emotional while reflecting on her journey back in April after being confirmed.
In my family, it took just one generation to go from segregation to the Supreme Court of the United States.
She takes the seat of 83-year-old Justice Stephen Breyer, who is officially retiring after serving on the court for nearly 28 years. President Biden nominated Jackson in February, fulfilling his vow to choose a black woman to fill the vacancy.
She understands the broader impact of her decisions, whether it's cases addressing the rights of workers or government service, She cares about making sure that our democracy works for the American people.
Jackson joins 3 female justices, Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Amy Coney Barrett, marking the first time 4 women sit on the 9-member Supreme Court. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Over the summer, Jackson will have time to prepare for about 24 cases as the Supreme Court plans to begin hearing in October. 100 years on the green. Joplin Schifferdecker Golf Course celebrates 1 century since its opening in 1922. City officials held a ribbon-cutting ceremony with celebratory tee shots from Mayor Pro Tem Keenan Cortez, Parks and Rec Director Paul Bloomberg, and current Ozark amateur Jordan Burks. The course is open to the public and consists of 18 holes.
Seeing things grow and continue to grow from the entire crew that we have here, the grounds crew, the pro shop staff, everybody here is really dedicated and wants the best for this course to continue for the next 100 years.
Schifferdecker Park was named in 1923 to honor Charles Schifferdecker, who donated 20 acres of land in 1915. It was a big celebration here at the TV station Wednesday afternoon. Representatives from 6 area chambers of commerce joined us for a ribbon cutting as KOAM TV and Fox 14 make progress on a project to improve the power and reach of our broadcasting signal. Chambers of commerce from Joplin, Pittsburgh, Carthage, Carl Junction, Neosho, and Grove joined us to celebrate, get an update on the project, and tour the facilities.
You know, this is a fun business to be in, and so it's exciting to be able to do that. Although I should say, I can't take any of the credit. Our chief engineer, Bill Vickery, is the one who really has led the charge on the project and has helped us understand the why, the how, and how it's going to impact not only us, but the community.
When the antenna and transmitter project is complete, our signal will be stronger than ever. In the meantime, signal might be a bit glitchy, and we know some of you have lost our signal, but a big improvement is coming soon. Considered one of the world's greatest ballet dancers of all time, Soviet virtuoso Mikhail Burshkhanov choreographs his own Cold War-era defection from the USSR on this day in 1974. Burshkhanov, then 26, finished a performance with the Leningrad-based Kirov Ballet in Toronto while on a Canadian tour. He then evaded his KGB handlers, disappeared into the crowd outside, hopped into a waiting car, and hid out until he was officially granted political asylum in Canada. Burshkhanov told People magazine in 1985 that a defection unfolded like a thriller. Soon after, he received political asylum in the United States, where he became principal dancer with the American Ballet Theater and the New York City Ballet. He became a U.S. citizen on July 3rd, 1986. Anytime I hear of anything involving a Russian defection, I just immediately go to the movie The Hunt for the Red October.
I've yet to see that, but I've heard nothing but good things.
It's a phenomenal movie. Sean Connery does a great job in that movie. So does Alec Baldwin, and it's just absolutely fascinating. Well, I think it was,
Red October.
It's really neat, just in the sense of how they portray what their view of America was like, why they were coming here, because they start. Sean Connery's the captain, Sam Neill's his first officer, and another captain on the ship, and they're talking about what they're going to do when they get to America, and it's one of those things we can take our freedoms and everything we have for granted so easily without realizing how the rest of the world perceives what we have. It may not be perfect, but to some other parts of the world, this is harmony. This is heaven.
It's amazing.
It certainly is. What is also amazing is some warm temperatures, at least for now, without humidity.
Yeah, I mean, like anytime we can get that type of setup, especially in late June, almost kicking off July, we'll take it before the heat and the humidity kick back into gear. But this drier mess we have for today allow for a nice mild start this morning, but quickly to 76 by 9 a.m., 88 by noon, highs near 94. Then the front to the north will start to pull in extra humidity throughout the holiday weekend. It'll give a couple lucky spots, a random shower or storm or two for each afternoon and early evening throughout the weekend. But highs in the mid-90s, and unfortunately, Chris, we got to push those highs back near 100 by next Tuesday.
Well, it is the middle of summer, so I mean, I guess that's just what.
It's got to happen again, but at least we'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully, if there's any downward trends, I'll certainly let everybody know.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather here in the first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, if it's Thursday, you know what time it is. Chef Anthony from Pittsburgh High School drops in with a very cool recipe just in time for the holiday. Plus, Texas authorities charge 4 people in connection with the deaths of over 4 dozen migrants. And one new study says most Americans need to do more to improve their cardiovascular health. Are you one of them? You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. 45-year-old Homero Zamorano Jr. is charged with involvement in human smuggling resulting in death. Public records show Zamorano has a lengthy criminal record dating back to the 1990s. 28-year-old Christian Martinez is also in custody, charged with 1 count of conspiracy to transport undocumented migrants resulting in death. 2 others, who are Mexico citizens, were charged with 1 count of possession of a weapon by a person illegally in the United States. The migrants were found in sweltering conditions in and around a semi-truck in San Antonio on Monday. Authorities say the refrigerated truck had no visible working air conditioning and there was no sign of water inside. It's not clear how long the migrants had been dead. If convicted, both Zamorano and Martinez could face up to life in prison or the death penalty. Police in Alabama are searching for a suspect accused of shooting 2 deputies during a chase. Authorities say 26-year-old Austin Hall shot the officers from a stolen car in Bibb County. He's considered armed and extremely dangerous. Hall has a criminal history that goes back 8 years and includes charges of injuring a police officer. One of the shot officers was taken to UAB Hospital in Birmingham, which is about an hour from most parts of Bibb County. It's not known where the other officer is being treated. Federal authorities arrest a Rhode Island state employee on Wednesday for his alleged actions during the January 6th Capitol breach. 47-year-old Bernard Joseph Sir is charged with a felony count of civil disorder and related misdemeanor offenses. Authorities say he illegally entered the Capitol and was captured on video physically engaging Capitol Police. They searched his North Kingstown home on Wednesday, where he was taken into custody. He was later released on a $10,000 unsecured bond. According to the Rhode Island Department of Transportation, Sir is a facility engineer at the state's Nuclear Science Center. He is now on administrative leave. Let's look at today's top national stories. We'll be right back with Chef Anthony Fisher from the Pittsburgh High School right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We're with Chef Anthony Fisher from Pittsburgh High School. I was just telling him the only cooking segment I've ever done is we microwave the banquet TV dinners. So Chef Anthony here is going to kind of guide me through everything. What are we making today?
We're going to make homemade ice cream.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
and we're going to do this very simply. So those of you who really want to go out and make homemade ice cream for the 4th of July or for any hot day, as a matter of fact, you can go out and you can pick up all the stuff that you need for around 30 bucks.
30 bucks? That's not a bad deal.
No, that's not bad at all.
Well, and how much ice cream can you make for 30 bucks?
You can have all the ingredients that you'll need to make about a gallon of ice cream.
That's a good sign.
That includes buying an ice cream maker.
Really? 30 bucks for everything you need plus the ice cream maker. Yep. All right, so now here's the big question. How do we make the ice cream? Or, well, what do you need, I guess?
Well, you need an ice cream maker. This one right here is a Revol. It's about $20 at Walmart, so you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on it. The key things to remember, though, is to make sure that the motor itself comes free, and then you have your mixing container. So it will sit on the bottom. It has a little pin. It just sits right in the bottom in a little groove, and then your motor will just mount in, and then it'll clip and lock into place. The other part with it is there's a drain hole on the back. What this does is, as the ice melts, of course, the water that's inside will run out the drain hole before it runs into your ice cream.
All right.
So those are very simple things, and you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on these. I've seen people spend way too much money, but this one's very simple. I use this one in my classroom. My students love this. We're going to make ice cream later today for those who are helping me get through the summer, so it's going to be a good day.
It is, because it's going to be a toasty day.
It is. And then you need rock salt. This is Morton's ice cream rock salt. Please do not use the ice melt that's in your garage that you use on your driveway. I've seen people do it. It doesn't quite get the same effect. The pieces in here are much larger. They don't dissolve near as fast, but you can even grind this down. I've seen people who grind this down and use it in some of their own recipes looking for a texture change.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this is a nice refined rock salt. It's easy to use and easy to find. I think it's like $1.70 for that box. No, it's not that bad, and you'll use about less than 1/8 of a cup to make an entire batch of ice cream.
Wow. That's a pretty big box too, so
It
you
is.
can make quite a few batches of ice cream with
Exactly,
that box.
and these are nice to have around and easy to use. And then I always have fresh fruit with me because I like to top my ice cream with fresh fruit. And of course, Martinez, they always have the most beautiful fresh fruit. This isn't even half the box. There's still a watermelon, and at $25 for a box of fresh fruit, you can't go wrong. You can't beat that
not
at all. So we're gonna take 2 cups of milk, measure out 1 more. And this is so simple to do. You can do this with the kids. It takes about 2 hours to make inside the ice cream machine, so you don't have to spend a whole lot of time working on it. And then you get 1 quart of heavy cream. We're going to take 2 cups out of it and add that to here as well. Now, if you've never made ice cream with heavy cream, you're in for a treat. It has a slightly different texture than anything else. If you're lucky enough to live on a farm where you have milk cows, skim the cream right off of your milk and use the real milk straight from the cow. I say real milk, but the fresh milk straight from the cow, and it changes everything, the texture and everything all the way around.
I'll bet it does. I mean, the fresher the better. I mean,
Exactly.
with anything, the fresher the better.
And then we're going to add 2/3 cups of sugar. And that right there is your basic ice cream mix. And we'll give this a good mix to make sure we dissolve our sugar. Doesn't take much. Now, I like quality flavor, I like quality ingredients. And anybody who's been around and watched this show enough, you know, I shop around, I look for good stuff. And one of our school sponsors is Amoretti. Amoretti is known for making flavorings.
Okay.
They do concentrate flavorings that they have these little jars that will flavor over 1,000 gallons of liquids. So, but some of the stuff that I really like is this, because we use this in pasta, we use this in just about everything. When we do marshmallows, which we did here not too long ago, we flavor our marshmallows with these. This is wild strawberry, and they're all artisanal flavors, and you can get salted caramel, you can get cinnamon bun, French toast, just about anything your heart desires, they have it. And their stuff is just quality, and the flavors are real. I mean, you can take a smell and...
Oh my gosh, I mean, that smells like fresh strawberries.
Exactly.
I mean, that's exactly what that smells like.
And the quality of their product is really good. So I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of their product right in there. And they're so wonderful with this stuff. The quality of the product is just insurmountable. And if you really, really wanted to, it makes an insane strawberry milk for breakfast. Better than Nesquik.
It smells really good, so I mean, I imagine it tastes fantastic.
Oh, it's wonderful. And we'll give that a mix, and then we'll pour it right into our ice cream maker. Getting everything in there. Line everything back up. Now this one has a little notch that you line up right over here on the side.
If it wants to cooperate.
When it wants to cooperate. And then you give it a little twist and it locks itself in place. Makes life real easy for you. And then right into the machine. Make sure that it's sitting on its little knob. Add our motor. Lock into place. Fill with ice, top with rock salt, plug it in.
All right.
And just watch your ice level. Make sure you maintain your ice level up here and not way down below, because there will be water in the bottom of it. But maintain your ice level right above, about a ½ inch from the top, and just let it turn. And you'll be good to go. Now don't add things that are going to freeze inside of it. Like you don't want to add chocolate into it because it'll freeze. If you want to add chocolate chips in it, make like a chocolate chip ice cream, shave off your ice cream, chip it off, save it for the end, and then as you pour it into your storage container, add your chocolate chips and things like that. Then you can add fresh fruit pieces into it, but wait until the end. You don't want to add it too soon because it will mess up your machine.
And you don't want to do that because then you can't make any more ice cream
Exactly.
for the rest of the summer.
And I love making this. I'll make this probably 7, 8, 9 times all summer. And I always have a tub in my freezer at home.
And always a tub of fresh homemade ice cream.
Yep. The texture and the flavors and everything is beyond anything that you can buy in the store.
All right. Chef Anthony, thank you so much. We will have more from him a little bit later on the KOAM Morning News.
In Health Watch, the American Heart Association says most people need to do more to improve their cardiovascular fitness. A study conducted by the group found only 1 in 5 U.S. adults has optimal heart health. The other 80% would benefit from a better diet, more exercise, or even just more sleep, ideally between 7 and 9 hours a night. A combination of MRIs and genetics may help predict a person's odds of developing Alzheimer's. Canadian researchers say an MRI would reveal physical changes in the brain, while genetic testing would indicate how the condition might progress. The study, published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease, suggests these steps would be most beneficial to patients experiencing mild cognitive impairment. That is some of the top health stories. Before we send it to a commercial break, a quick check of our forecast once again. We're waiting for this cold front to try to change things up for the holiday weekend. Until it gets here, though, we've got a quiet day lined up for us. We've got mostly clear skies on the Skywatch storm tracker. Same from 7th and Rangeline, with temperatures sitting at 65 at Joplin Regional. Everybody else sitting in the lower to middle 60s. We even see a few upper 50s on the board, but numbers like this will not last long. With this dry air mass in place, we're going to warm up fast throughout the day. 71 by 8 a.m., 88 by noon, highs near 94. Then as that front sets up shop just to the north for the holiday weekend, we'll watch for some slight thunderstorm chances through the holiday weekend, but it's going to keep us hot with highs in the mid-90s, 97 on July 4th, and near 100 on Tuesday.
Right now at 6:30, the Joplin Airport will continue to see a steady flow of regional traffic at least throughout 2022.
Now we're starting to see the sun really rise from the eastern horizon. That's going to lead to a fast warm-up today. We'll break down the numbers coming up.
Also, the Schiffer-Decker Golf Course in Joplin celebrates a huge milestone.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning. Welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 6:30. I'm Chris Warner. We do have some breaking news that we're following out of Joplin this morning. The former Carnegie Library at 9th and Wall has caught fire. We do have a crew on the scene, and we'll have more information available, or more information as soon as it becomes available. Again, the former Carnegie Library at 9th and Wall in Joplin has caught fire. We do have a crew there. We'll bring you that information as it becomes available. Turning to 4-state weather, Nick Kelly joining us right now. The sun is up, and from what I understand, it's going to be a toasty one.
Yeah, it's going to be a fast warm-up, Chris, but all because we have the dry air mass in place. The same dry air that allowed us to start quite mild this morning, between the upper 50s and the mid-60s. Can't deny that it looks great from 7th and Rangeline. Also, later on down the line, we'll have to see how this cold front comes into play as we go into the holiday weekend. As long as it's far to the north and west of us, we're just looking quiet, not just for this morning on the Skywatch storm tracker. This is exactly how it's going to stay throughout the course of the day, meaning the radar network staying dry, and that's the way it'll certainly be as we go throughout the course of the day. We do have a couple upper 50s on the board like Chautauqua, Parsons, and Neodesha, but a lot of us between 60 and 65 degrees to start this morning out, all because of that dry air in place. But as that sun really rises now, it's going to lead quickly. The temperature's around 76 at 9 a.m., 88 by noon, pushing highs near 94, Chris. But the dry air doesn't make this hot and humid. But that could be a different story later on down the road. We'll break down the full forecast later on in the show here.
All right, Nick, thank you. Joplin fire officials say a man has died from injuries he received in a house fire. The fire happened early Monday morning at 819 West A Street. When fire crews arrived, they found 71-year-old Michael Hayes trapped inside. They got him out and took him to the hospital, where he has since died. Fire officials determined the cause of the fire to be a malfunctioning electric fan. Big news for travelers who use the Joplin Airport. SkyWest will continue to provide its Joplin service at least through the end of this year. Earlier this year, SkyWest, which runs United Express flights to Denver and Chicago, announced it would end service to the Joplin Regional Airport and 28 other communities, due largely to a pilot shortage. But the city announced Wednesday SkyWest Airlines will keep its current Joplin service throughout 2022. Flights include a daily nonstop morning flight to Chicago and an evening return flight, as well as an afternoon flight to and from Denver Thursday through Monday. Nearly a week after the Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade, legal battles over abortion are mounting in several states. With laws varying from state to state, there are a variety of legal cases making their way to court. Erica Hill is following all of the ramifications of the Supreme Court's decision.
We're taking this fight back to the courts.
Wisconsin is the latest state to sue over pre-Roe abortion laws, asking the court to strike an 1849 ban, which outlaws nearly all abortions with no exception for rape or incest, noting that it contradicts more recent state laws.
Those statutes are directly inconsistent with Wisconsin's 19th century abortion ban. It can't be both legal and illegal to provide an abortion to protect the health of a mother.
All abortion services in Wisconsin stopped last Friday when Roe was overturned.
My body, my choice.
In Texas, a temporary reprieve after a restraining order allowed some clinics to resume abortions until around the 6-week mark of pregnancy. North Dakota, one of 13 states with so-called trigger laws, announcing its abortion ban will go into effect July 28th. A federal judge ruled Tennessee can ban the procedure after 6 weeks, starting right now, well before the state's more restrictive trigger law takes effect in mid-August, with no exceptions for rape or incest.
This is a critical moment in our history. How we respond will speak to how we view the rights, the dignity, and the well-being of women everywhere.
Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra pledging his department will do everything it can, including increasing access to medication abortions, though in reality, federal options are limited. In states where abortion is still legal, officials are sending a clear message. Nevada's governor signing an executive order stating there will be no cooperation for out-of-state warrants related to violations of reproductive health care laws. That follows a similar order in California.
Governors clearly have the authority to dictate what their state executive branches do. Ultimately, however, it's really hard for anybody in a state that allows abortion to protect their citizens against prosecution.
The legal fight is not only over abortion services. A Missouri health system just announced it's no longer providing emergency contraception. Kansas City-based St. Luke's health system citing concerns the state's ambiguous law may be interpreted as criminalizing emergency contraception. St. Luke's will, however, continue to offer those services at its Kansas-based facilities. Another reminder of how different the law can be across state lines. If you're ever on the go and you want to still be able to watch our newscast live, there's an easy way to do that with the KOAM Plus app. It's available free of charge in your favorite app store as well as on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. All you need to do is search for KOAM Plus. 100 years on the green. Joplin Golf Course celebrating 1 century since its opening in 1922. City officials held a ribbon-cutting ceremony with celebratory tee shots from Mayor Pro Tem Keenan Cortez, Parks and Rec Director Paul Bloomberg, and current Ozark amateur Jordan Burks. The course is open to the public and consists of 18 holes.
The goal for this golf course is to make sure that it is one of those amenities that's available to the community as a whole. As a quality of life thing, having a municipal golf course within our city limits just adds to the quality of life that our citizens can have.
Schifferdecker Park was named in 1923 to honor Charles Schifferdecker, who donated 120 acres of land in 1915. On this date in 1989, Spike Lee releases his third film, Do the Right Thing. The provocative drama takes place on one block in Brooklyn's Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood during the hottest day of the year. Tensions build to a tragic climax over the course of the film, which featured a memorable cast including Samuel L. Jackson, Danny Aiello, and the film's director, as well as Rosie Perez making her feature film debut. Film premiered with substantial controversy due to its incendiary themes surrounding race relations, and some media critics speculated whether the film would lead to riots. What the film did lead to was 2 Oscar nominations and recognition as one of Hollywood's most notable portrayals of modern-day racial tensions. I know back in 1989, I would have been just about 2 years old, so I can't say I'm familiar with this specific movie, but I have seen some old classic movies from back in the day.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one, but others, yeah. I remember like 80s is one of the best decades, I think, for movies.
The 80s really did produce a lot of good movies. You got RoboCop, Terminator.
Ferris Bueller.
Yes, Ferris Bueller. And then you've got the old teen ones that always featured Molly Ringwald. Pretty in Pink. And then you had the Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Now, I know Molly Ringwald wasn't in that one. And you had the Breakfast Club.
Why can't I think of the name? Oh, is it no, it's not the Rat Pack. Oh, it's going to drive me nuts.
Oh, the group from the Breakfast Club?
Yeah.
Okay, now you've got me questioning my sanity because I can't recall either. We're going to have to get you that information as quickly as possible. We'll be back.
Brat Pack.
Brat Pack. Okay,
Yeah.
Brat Pack.
Yeah.
Brat Pack. See, we didn't have to go to break without you having that important information. That's a look at our top stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Your next pizza delivery in the near future may come from robots and rocket scientists. Plus, we recognize one of our four-state heroes every day on KOAM, and for a veteran, that recognition can mean so much. We want to know if you've got any military veterans in your family. We'll let you weigh in. We'll be right back. We are continuing to follow breaking news out of Joplin this morning. As a reminder, the Carnegie Library at 9th and Wall caught fire early this morning. There are flames that were visible, heavy smoke showing, and fire crews are still working to put the fire out. KOAM does have a crew on the scene, and we'll have more details as they become available. In Consumer Watch this morning, a robot could be making your next pizza. In California, Laurie Perez talked to a team of former rocket scientists who are turning their talents to make America's favorite pie.
Getting a spaceship into outer space, getting a fresh hot pizza delivered in LA.
So in here is our topping line.
To former SpaceX engineer Benson Tsai, both are equally challenging and equally important, enough to turn this literal rocket scientist into a restaurateur.
Ultimately, for me, it's about solving problems wherever they are, solving problems here on Earth. Affordable access to high quality fresh foods is not something that is readily available for everyone, right?
So over the last 3 years, he, 2 co-founders, and 23 other former SpaceX scientists have been focused on this planet's problems, creating the Stellar Pizza System, a fully automated, fully enclosed mobile pizza maker. From assembly
Freshly cut our pepperonis onto every pizza.
to cooking, with cameras on every step ready to make adjustments, it can crank out a pie in less than 5 minutes, and it'll do it all inside a truck like this on the way to your house. An algorithm will consider traffic and other obstacles to help decide when to start cooking your order. And yes, some of what Tsai used designing the battery system that sent this very rocket to space is in this portable pizza shop.
Our electronics are designed with the reliability that is required to get humans to space. As a team of rocket scientists designing kitchen equipment from scratch.
No human labor and no real estate mean less cost. Most pizzas will be around $10, the brainchild of a brain trust. It has to be the only pizza place in the galaxy where in an interview, instead of asking you to make a pizza, they ask you to design a circuit.
What we're trying to do is actually very hard. I needed to recruit the best and the brightest to develop a mobile pizza machine that is basically a spaceship on wheels.
Okay, but what do a bunch of rocket scientists know about pizza? Tsai says they used the scientific method in recipe development, trying and failing and trying, and then hiring an actual chef and other food experts to make a pizza they think is out of this world.
I can't even count the number of pizzas I've eaten.
That's it for Consumer Watch. We're going to go over to Nick for our Something to Talk About.
And this morning, Chris, we're talking about serving in the military. William Kellerman, that gentleman there, a Bronx native, expressed how great it feels to finally be recognized for fighting in World War II. Less than 1 month into his tour of duty, on July 4th of 1944, he was sent to notify his battalion headquarters. En route, he was taken by German soldiers as a prisoner until one night he escaped on foot. Kellerman traveled 600 miles on bike and made it to the headquarters of the French resistance. He was interrogated for hours, trying to prove he was an American soldier, and he redeemed himself by answering who won the 1943 World Series. And of course, a no-brainer for the Bronx native, since it was the New York Yankees. Officials from the U.S. Army say that after his service ended, active service that is, the awards he was set to receive were never processed until he finally got them almost 70 years later, give or take a decade or so. This brings us to our Something to Talk About this morning. Do you have any family members who served in the military? So far, the numbers are overwhelming. overwhelmingly yes at 92%, 8% no. You can continue to chime in with the Instant Poll at KOAMNewsNow.com/vote. Vote with the KOAM News app on iOS and Android. And you can even chime in on Facebook as well if you want to share stories about family members who served. Before we head to break, let's head to the mothership in New York to see what's coming up on CBS Mornings.
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up on CBS Mornings, we'll show you some summer tech items to help you stay cool and save money. Two things we all need this summer. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Myron Kelso. Staff Sergeant Kelso served in the Army from 1950 to 1951. He was stationed at both Fort Lewis, Washington and Fort Hood, Texas. A native of Havana, Kansas, we thank you, today's four-state hero, Myron Kelso.
Baxter Springs, 9 years young this go around to Luke Wixon. Happy birthday, Luke.
We've also got Colton Cleland turning 13 in Arma. He is the top hand at the Cleveland Cattle Company. A very happy birthday to Colton today.
We'll head over to Oswego. It is 16 this year for Tegan Blundell. Happy birthday, Miss Tegan.
We've also got Stephanie McConnell turning 42 in Carthage. A happy birthday to Stephanie.
All right, we are moving on to Girard, Kansas, 66 years young for Miss Peggy Jones. Happy birthday to you, Peggy.
We've also got Pittsburgh resident Bill Perkins celebrating 77 years of life. Happy birthday to Mr. Bill.
And we actually have a Betty White of our own out of Columbus, 89 years young. Happy birthday to you, Miss Betty.
She's only 10 years off Betty White's mark, so she's doing good. I bet she's going to make it past 100. Betty White, happy birthday. Mike Brown in St. Paul, also celebrating a birthday. A happy birthday to you, Mike.
And out of Jasper, the lone anniversary on the list, it's Mike and Vi. I'm going to butcher this last name, probably Tubba or Tuba. But nonetheless, Mike and Vi, happy 44th to you and many more to come.
44 excellent years. We also have Mark McDowell in Miami celebrating a birthday as well. And there's some good news to go along with these birthdays. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. You know what's really great about this, Nick?
What?
I'm going to tell you what's really great about this. You can get special deals from local businesses. So all you need to do is go to KOAMNewsNow.com and sign up for the Birthday Club today if you haven't already.
All right, and we're almost coming up to the top of the hour, but we're going to have another hour of news on Fox 14 coming up. We'll actually look inside a doctor's office in Kansas City where inquiries about vasectomies are up over 900%. This in the wake of the Supreme Court's decision to overturn the 50-year-old precedent of Roe versus Wade. We'll have that and plenty more, including the breaking news coming out of Joplin, coming up on KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 at 7 o'clock. In the meantime, let's switch back over to weather. This is our jet stream setup. Easy to see that we're on the warmer side of the jet once again. It was nice that we started the week out on the cooler side of things. It was only a matter of time, being the summer months, that we would find ourselves back on the hotter side of the big jet upstairs. However, it's keeping our cold front to the north and west for another day. This might play a factor in our holiday weekend, but not so in disrupting any holiday weekend plans. Certainly not disrupting anything for today, as long as it stays well to the north and west, which it will do for today. Looking at our area, though, mostly clear skies in the Skywatch storm tracker and from 7th and range line, so certainly looks nice to get this Thursday morning started. Temperatures not too bad, 65 in Joplin with the dew point at 52, indicating still a relatively dry air mass in place. That's actually allowing some spots to drop back near 60 this morning, but everybody between 60 and mid 60s this morning. And then looking at the rest of the day, normally we start at 69 and top out at 89. It was nice that we got a mild start this morning, but with this dry air mass, that sun is going to heat things up fast. 71 at 8 a.m., 88 by noon. I'm seeing temperatures, at least in the Joplin area, topping out at 94 with the light south breeze not strong enough to mix up the sun's rays. That's another key factor as to why we're going to heat up fast throughout the course of the day. That's not just for Joplin, though. Everybody has sunshine during the day, but with dry air and that light south breeze, we all soar into the mid to upper 80s at the noon hour today. And then lower to middle 90s. Most of us between 92 and 94 degrees. Didn't mean to do that. I wanted to show you how Thursday tonight And Friday morning is looking ahead of that cold front, parking yourself near the I-70 corridor. We could see a few clouds sneak in here for your Friday morning, but the day starts dry. But then as the front starts to pull in a little bit more humidity, you can see how we up the cloud cover, partly sunny skies, maybe a stray thunderstorm or two. Most of us will say dry for Friday, but highs back in the mid-90s. It'll feel like the triple digits, and we'll see if this is a type of setup that'll hold for the rest of the holiday weekend when we break down the 7-day one last time when we come back.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, news you need to know before you head out the door. We're following breaking news out of Joplin as the former Joplin Public Library, the Carnegie Library at 9th and Wall, is on fire this morning. The first call for the fire was at 5 a.m. Multiple units arrived on scene and reported seeing smoke coming out of the basement of the building. Fire is currently not out, but Joplin Fire Department reports they are working on getting the fire out. This is a developing story, and we'll have more details on our website and the KOAM News Now app as well. There was a big celebration here at the TV station Wednesday afternoon. Representatives from 6 area chambers of commerce joined us for a ribbon cutting as KOAM TV and Fox 14 make progress on a project to improve the power and reach of our broadcasting signal. Chambers of Commerce from Joplin, Pittsburgh, Carthage, Carl Junction, Neosho, and Grove joined us to celebrate, to get an update on the project and tour the facilities. 100 years on the green. Joplin Schifferdecker Golf Course celebrates 1 century since its opening in 1922. The city officials held a ribbon-cutting ceremony with celebratory tee shots from Mayor Pro Tem Keenan Cortez, Parks and Rec Director Paul Bloomberg, and current Ozark amateur Jordan Burks. The course is open to the public and consists of 18 holes. Folks in Fort Scott had the chance to watch a special performance of the 35th Infantry Division Band of the Kansas National Guard. They performed at the Fort Scott National Historic Site. The band performed a mixture of pop, classical, and patriotic music. That's a check of today's top headlines, news you need to know before you head out the door.
And as I promised everybody, Chris, the last look at the 7-day forecast before we hand it over to CBS in New York at the top of the hour. Sunny skies for today, but that means a fast warm-up to about 94 degrees this afternoon. Mid-90s continue throughout much of the holiday weekend, but with the front parking itself nearby for the weekend, can't rule out an isolated storm or two. Friday afternoon and evening, then we'll do it again Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Not all-day washouts, but just have a plan B in case you get underneath one of those random chances for rain or storms. Then after a 97-degree high for the 4th of July, unfortunately, we'll trend drier, but also hotter with highs near 100 starting on Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't like the Tuesday and Wednesday portion of your forecast, but at the same time, I mean, we're in July, and it really wouldn't be July in the 4 states if we weren't hitting really high highs.
Yeah, and I'll continue to look. If I see any changes, hopefully downward, I'll certainly bring that to everybody's attention coming up at noon.
I'm sure that people would like to see some changes downward, but like I said, it is summertime. Nick, thank you. Coming up today at noon, we're going to be making spinach dip roll-ups in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
That's pretty good. But the morning news will continue with CBS Mornings next. Certainly with airlines suspecting another wave of flight cancellations during the 4th of July weekend, they'll have some tips on what to do if probably your flight might get canceled.
Or you can stay with us by switching over to Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, Chef Anthony heading back into the studio with some holiday-approved homemade ice cream just in time for these warmer temperatures. Plus, Jeannie Moose solves a case of catnapping. Turns out it was the wrong cat.
Yeah, that'll certainly be interesting. And on another serious note, before we wrap it up, if any new developments take place about the library at 9th and Wall, we'll continue with that on Fox 14 as well. So if you're interested, stick with us. We'll have another hour, hopefully with more updates on that on Fox 14. But over here, we'll wrap things up for now. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
And then, of course, we'll see you today at noon after the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
We decided it needed its own kind of music. That music was called